Hello, race fans. My next guest at this time is now a 26-time driving champion in the state of California, including winning his 9th title at Placerville Speedway, and he's the most recent champion with the Sprint Car Challenge Tour. One of the most accomplished 360 sprint car drivers in the last 20 years in the Golden State, Andy Forsberg out of Auburn, California, is now on Getting Up to Speed. Well, here he is, the 2022 Sprint Car Challenge Tour and Placerville Speedway track champion, Andy Forsberg from Auburn, California. Andy, first of all, congratulations on an incredible accolade of winning a series championship and a track championship in the same season, as well as an incredible 2023.
Yeah, that was not expected by me, at least. I know when Scott Russell he had announced that he was going to provide or offer a bonus for anybody who could do both. And in the same season, I was sitting in the banquet room looking around, wondering, well, I wonder if he'll do it or who's going to do it. Because I knew I wasn't, because I had just stepped aside from the F&F X1 at that end of that year, and I was going to just run my car full time. So I really didn't have anything set in stone. And the next thing you know, we found ourselves wrapped up in both points chases, and we ended up doing it. I'm not going to say it was the best year by any means, but I mean, we were consistent, and fortunately other people that ran the series were having issues as well. So it was kind of at one time who didn't want to win the championship the most, because people were crashing and breaking and doing all kinds of stupid crap. But at the end of the day, we won them both, so we'll take it.
Well, you hear so many people talking about how hard quote-unquote points racing is for a single championship, how you can psych yourself out or get too stressed out about it. Going for two, obviously double the pleasure, double the fun for you. I mean, how did that sit with you? You weren't losing too much sleep, I assume.
No, I think with age and wisdom comes the lack of stressing out in those instances. People have asked me, how do you points race so much? I mean, doesn't it take a toll on you? And I mean, there are times where you're watching let's say the person who's in second in points, and he goes out and sets a quick time, and you didn't qualify that good. You're like, oh crap, he just gained 5 points on me.
Mm-hmm.
There's a little bit of that, but we're going racing every week anyways. So I mean, we might as well accumulate points to do it. It's not like I'm begrudgingly going to the track like, oh, I can't miss this point race. I got to go to Placerville this Saturday. Sure. We're going to go to Placerville this Saturday regardless. So in that aspect, it's never really taken its toll. But I mean, I can remember when I was my first Civil War championship. I think I just had to make the main event, and I was battling Roger Crockett for the last transfer spot, and I was in 4th, he was in 5th. And I can remember my foot quivering on the gas pedal. I was so damn nervous. I just had to just get into the feature. So, yeah, I mean, that was 23 years ago. A lot's changed. But, experience kind of takes over the stressing out, I guess.
And so for some folks that don't know you, perhaps somebody's listening from the Midwest or the East Coast, you're quite a decorated sprint car driver in the state of California. And with these two championships, you're at 20. How many driving championships now?
26.
26, and that's Placerville Speedway, Silver Dollar Speedway in Chico, obviously SCCT. You mentioned California Civil War Series, which now is defunct, but also Golden State, right?
No, I that's my one thing that kind of hurts a little bit. I only ran 2 years of Golden State. I ran for the Family Auto Service. We ran 2 full seasons in 03 and 04, and I lost by 12 points in 04. So. And then after that, the team kind of disbanded a little bit. And then I never really had the resources to really run a full-time 410 schedule. But, yeah, unfortunately, I didn't get a Golden State championship, so that would have been kind of the icing on the cake. But, I got the COVID Marysville championship, and then we ran all the Petaluma shows a couple years ago. So it's just kind of bouncing around. It's hard to run them all. I actually think I might have hurt. I won't put words in their mouth, but I think I bummed out Placerville this year because I'm kind of committing to Chico to do all their races this year. So that kind of puts me out of running Placerville all the time. But, you can only be at one track at one night. So, the plan kind of this year is to at least hit all the Chico races, and we'll kind of let the chips fall where they may on the other weekends. We're certainly going to race.
Sure. And looking at your numbers for last year, specifically for 360, because that's the majority of the the category that you ran last year. 42 starts, 20 top 10s, 13 top 5s, 12 of which were podiums, 4 wins, 2 at Marysville, 1 at Placerville, and the SCCT show at Petaluma. How would you rate? I mean, you said like last year wasn't wasn't the best year, but not too bad considering. I think that to put some context to that is that California has big car counts generally, whether it's a local show or a sanctioned show, whatever series is in town.
Yeah, California's 360 series is kind of off the hook. I jokingly call it the War of Outlaws 360 series. And unfortunately, I mean, your show's not long enough for me to get into what I think's wrong with 360s. But
sure,
yeah, for whatever reason, that's kind of, we've got such a young core group of kids now that are coming out of the micros in the Central Valley and the Outlaw Karts in the North State, and they just flock to the 360s. And I think, you go to, I mean, hell, at Chico, if there's a race at Chico, there's 60 plus cars. It doesn't matter what the race is. It could be the Gold Cup. It could be just a Friday night race that people flock to Chico, and Placerville gets 30 to 40 cars every Saturday for a point show. They're not your typical weekly shows where maybe you might be accustomed to like 17 cars showing up and you have a couple heats in a main event. It's every race seems to be a big deal, and there's a lot of good drivers and there's a lot of good equipment too. So it's tough to really excel week in and week out here.
Well, and something that really strikes me when Stephanie and I started dating. She lived in Santa Rosa, and I remember visiting her, and she's like, "Which racetrack do you want to go to?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" Because I'm an Oregon kid, and like everybody races on Saturday, and it, with the exception of Cottage Grove, everything is about an hour away, if not more. And I just started to look at it. I'm like, holy smokes, Sacramento specifically, Auburn, outside of Sacramento, you have Placerville, obviously, Marysville, Chico, Petaluma isn't too far away, kind of deal. Like it's probably the only equivalent west of the Rockies of a Midwest sort of culture of so many racetracks that are so close.
Yeah, there's definitely options, and there's wherever you want to go on a Saturday, you can go there, and you throw Ocean in on a Friday as well.
Sure.
There's a lot of teams that run 2 nights a week out here, and it's almost a full-time gig out here, to be honest with you. If you want to hit all the 360 shows, you could run 75 races relatively easy. So we've kind of, the majority of my career has been Friday nights at Chico and Saturday nights at Placerville, and then you would just, hit the travel series races at all the other tracks. But fortunately for me in Auburn, we're within a couple hours of all the cool tracks, and we run. We're dwindling down a little bit. I think we ran 52 shows last year total. So I mean, there's been times where we've been in the 70s, but California's, it's good. You don't have to travel a whole hell of a lot to get your racing fix in.
Well, COVID no doubt was a huge curveball for everybody. And I think you said it on what, by the way, this is a plug for you, check out Andy Forsberg Facebook page for his video recaps of every night, the honest and, almost immediate reaction truth. But you hit some nail on the head is like, holy smokes. Like there were some times where if it lined up correctly with the tracks all working together, which they did, like you could race at least 3, if not 4 times a night with the way that schedule kind of panned out, albeit it wasn't from February to November kind of deal, but there was some congested fixtures there, and there wasn't overlap or overscheduling.
Yeah, it's funny you should say COVID. I saw on the news this morning that today is the 3rd anniversary of the first documented case of COVID in California. So just crazy how time has flown. I can't believe it's been 3 years. But I mean, we were running Wednesday nights during COVID at Marysville,
mm-hmm.
and it was you'd go in. I'd work all day and then come in the house, and you'd get on Facebook to see what track was going to decide the race. Okay, Placerville's going to have a show this Saturday, and Ocean's going to run this Friday, and maybe a Thursday night, you never knew what, how crazy it was, 3 years ago.
Sure.
People were just kind of making things happen within, a few days. Like, okay, we're going to do it. We can do it. We got clearance, whatever.
Correct.
And yeah, that was a crazy time. And I don't miss it. I'll be honest with you. Those weeknight races, I didn't have to go. Nobody forced us to go, but like idiots, we still went. And, it took a toll on the crew for sure. We're all a bunch of working idiots. So we all had to still work on Wednesday and Thursday, and racing on a Wednesday night was kind of a pain in the ass, but we still did it, and we survived.
And then Sundays at Petaluma generally is when they ran.
Yeah,
too. So
yeah,
I mean,
forgot about Petaluma.
So you guys were having to do a quick turnaround because Route 37 is a little tricky from Vallejo to Sears Point. So I assume that's the way you guys take. But
yeah, that place is a parking lot. It's miserable, and we definitely spent some time just literally, we'd get out. They did a good job at Petaluma to get the races done and get everybody on the road. So we'd be patting ourselves in the back how fast we got loaded up, and look at us, we're like an outlaw team. Look how fast we got loaded up, and then you spend a half an hour sitting on 37. Fun times.
Yeah. So the reference there for people that don't know, Route 37 goes across San Pablo Bay, and it connects Vallejo to basically right where Infineon Raceway or Sears Point, the road course is. And basically from, Discovery Kingdom, the Six Flags deal to there, Mare Island is really where you kick off going westbound. And if you get stuck behind a truck, or if it's bumper to bumper, it's an early indication. It's only it feels like it's 300 miles, but it's only, 15 miles.
And if somebody breaks down or there's a wreck, you can't get by them. You're done.
And there's no guardrails on either side of the bay. So there's a medium barrier, a K rail, but if you fall asleep, you're going swimming.
I always wondered how thick that goo is too there on the side of the road too. It looks like it's 10 feet thick of just gunk.
Yeah, I haven't tested that theory either. I guess it just depends when the tide is in, because at some point it looks like, okay, all right, and then other times it's like, wow, so this is how it ends, huh? But
and actually, now that you say that, we're getting off topic. The last time we went across there, we were stuck in traffic. So for whatever reason, I Googled Highway 37, and why the hell haven't they widened that out? And there's some, I don't know, endangered spotted lizard or something that is in that vicinity, and they are never going to widen that highway. So you got what you got.
Got what you got. Take Highway 12 through Calistoga and that little off-track path, which can be a winding road, and you're dealing with the winery tourists in Napa and Sonoma County. So, anyways, something that I noticed here that was very interesting is between Silver Dollar, this is 360 starts, obviously, 28 starts between Placerville and Silver Dollar Speedway. Your bread and butter of places that you ventured last year. 17 top 10s. That's a pretty good feat, showing that, and those are tough places to perform at, as you said, the caliber of cars and the number of cars that show.
Yeah, like I said a little earlier, they're all huge shows. It might not be the Gold Cup or the Fall Nationals, but just every single race is a big deal as far as car counts are concerned. And I'm frustrated that there were more top fives and more wins, but there comes a time where you just there were times last year where I just had to kind of pick my poison and decide how hard I felt like I could race, and sometimes a ninth place is all I was going to get. So pretty good at finishing races. So I take a little pride in that. I don't like the crew having to work too hard during the week and build race cars. So the days of me trying a little harder to gain one position are kind of gone. So there might have been some nights where you just had to settle for a seventh or a ninth, and it was what it was. But at the end of the year, it did garner a couple championships.
Yeah. And speaking of ninth, I think is a number that you mentioned. Your ninth career Placerville championship. It's got to feel awesome, closing in on one Brian Crockett.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty good on stupid, nerdy statistics, and I thought I passed him. I thought, okay, 9, I broke the tie. And then I was looking at something this year, and I'm like, well, hell, he's got 10. I got to do it at least one more time to tie him. So, yeah, it ain't happening this year, I don't think. But and it might not ever happen. But
Yeah.
gosh, I could remember going and watching Placerville when my dad first started messing around with 360s. He kind of went broke running NARC, and so we built a 360, and that's when Placerville still ran. They ran 2 divisions every night.
410, 360. Yeah.
Yeah, and then there was 320s. I think they ran for a little bit. Brian was super good in the 320 limited modifieds, but yeah, he'd win 2 main events in one night. I mean, it was crazy, and he was a legend, and it was fun because half the people hated to see him do well, and the other half appreciated how well he did. And
sure,
those are really fun memories for me remembering, because we were friends with Brian, and I like to see him do well. Didn't like to see him beat my dad, which he did damn near every night, but
yeah.
Those were good times. That red number 7 was fast.
Yeah, yeah. So you touched on it a little bit. 2023 primary focus, Silver Dollar Speedway in Chico, and then outside of that, just going to try and hit some random races, some bigger shows, marquee events, or what exactly? Have you guys filled out your 2023 schedule completely?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of have an idea what we're going to do. So, like I said, all the Chico shows, if there's a race at Chico, we're going to it, regardless if it's a 360 show or they're open 410 races, or if NARC's there, we're going to run Outlaws. But then I kind of want to run the tracks that I really enjoy running with NARC. So we'll probably hit Watsonville, Petaluma, Antioch, Placerville, those NARC shows as well. So that was kind of we got a 410 last year, and we only got to run it a few times. So, unfortunately, we're going to have to miss races at Placerville to go run 410 races at other tracks. So, every action's got a reaction. So that's kind of the path we've chosen this year. The SCCT, that's still up in the air a little bit. There's a couple times they travel the tracks that I'm not super fond of, and I could settle for just going to Marysville on those nights. I don't really care one way or the other. Marysville is like 40 minutes from my house, so I love the proximity to my house with Marysville. But there might be some nights where I don't want to drive to Hanford or Tulare.
Sure.
That's 4 or 5 hours in the rig compared to 40 minutes in the rig going to Marysville. So really it just comes down to how we're feeling at that point, or really how I feel. The crew does whatever the hell I want to do. They're very supportive, but when that first conflict comes, we'll figure it out. But I'd say 50-50 on whether we run all the SCCT shows or not.
Yeah, no doubt. I know the last time we had an interview was at Hanford for, I think, Cotton Classic, and you were lecturing me that I didn't do fully my homework, but I do want to let you know I have inputted every single Sprint Bandit, SCRA 360, USAC,
there
West
you
Coast,
go.
everything. So 2005 at Colorado Speedway in Hanford with the Bandit Series, and then also Thunderbolt Raceway with the SCRA 360 Series at Tulare. So, yeah, I noticed that you did quite a bit of non-wing racing in the mid 2000 decade.
Yeah, I actually really enjoyed it, and I don't know if that's just because it was different, because I was used to racing with the wing. So you go non-wing racing, you think it's the coolest thing ever. And I would imagine a non-wing guy would say the same thing if he went wing racing. That he thought it was real fun. But yeah, we took advantage of that. Was their couple 2 or 3 year span where I was driving for the Family Auto Service, and they would have a lot of double duty nights where they'd have NARC and the Bandit or was it SCRA. And so I would take my own personal car down there and do double duty. So, and we were, we did pretty decent there. We won a few shows and ran pretty competitively, considering we didn't do it that often. So I was always pretty proud of that. And then we messed around a little bit with the 410 as well. We went down to the Oval Nationals at Paris. Always loved going to Paris. Typically came home with a car and a big old ball, though. And that's actually what put the Family Auto Service out of business. Their last race was the Oval Nationals. I tried killing myself, had the roll cage bent down around my ears, and there's still 12 hours of that day I don't recall. But that was their last race. So let's see. I want to say about 2014, I started kind of getting hip to the idea that, man, maybe this non-wing stuff isn't for me.
Yeah.
I'd watch highlight videos of people entering the turn and their left rear was off the ground. I started thinking, man, that's not how you're supposed to enter the turn with your left rear not touching the ground. So I guess I sort of scared myself out of racing without a wing. But I will say, just to brag, my 2 out of my last 4 starts was with USAC, and I had 2 fast times and 2 second places. So we were still getting around there okay. But I just kind of thought for my health, I was going to quit doing it.
Well, and if I recall correctly, if memory serves me, which it doesn't always, you got in a pretty bad tussle at Thunderbolt during Trophy Cup when they still had the non-wing race.
Yeah, it was 2013, and my ribs still hurt from that. So that was that.
Yeah.
Can you cuss on your? What? Can we cuss on your show?
As long as it doesn't start with an F or an SH.
Okay. Well, that dipshit from Finland, Marcus Niemela, tried killing me.
Yeah.
And I don't know where he was going. It was lap 7 of a 50-lap main event, and yeah, we both lawn darted the wall, and we both ended up in the hospital that night. So
yeah.
That
there
was
a lot of trips I remember. I think Troy Henning and Bobby Gerald said there was like, I don't know how, there was only like 20 something cars and like maybe 18 flips or something like that. Like, I think, was that the race that Bernal got hurt just in hot laps? It was just one of those, I wouldn't say a perfect storm, but just like a crazy night where it's like, whoa, what's going on?
Yeah, and I want to say that was the last time they had non-wing cars at the Trophy Cup. I think after that it went to just 3 nights of wing racing. But yeah, there was a few of us at the hospital that night, and I'm not joking. That was 2013, and my left side and my ribs still hurt and kind of crunch a little bit. I don't know what the hell's going on in there, but yeah, I think about that almost every day just because my ribs hurt.
Almost 10 years ago. I mean, it's still early part of the year, but you got like 9 months left till it's a full silver anniversary.
There was no front of that car left from the motor forward. There was nothing missing. The throttle was stuck wide open. It was sitting there doing 360s, and thank God I wasn't knocked out. I don't know. I might still be doing 360s on the infield, but got it shut off, and I looked over and saw that dingling sitting there all bent to shit too. So I went over and had a little conversation. I don't even know if he spoke English, but the next time we saw each other, we were walking past each other in the hallway at the hospital. So
yeah. Well, I want to give you the floor here for a little bit. Obviously, social media, you're big on it. You have your video recaps generally, the night of and everything. Whether the night goes good, whether the night goes bad, and it's always an honest opinion. For folks that want to check you out, other than Facebook, is there other options there? Or like for people that may want to order like t-shirts, apparel, or follow your racing schedule, what's the best way?
Yeah, I mean, I got my personal page, Andy Forsberg, and then there's Andy Forsberg, or was it Andy Forsberg Racing? I don't even know. I'm not that up on Facebook because I don't even know what I got. But do a little bit on Twitter. We don't have any shirts for sale yet. I'm not sure I'm gonna do any, but yeah, as far as the recaps are concerned, I mean, I have zero qualms with calling myself out and how the night went, and I'm old enough now to where I can tell the truth. I'm not embarrassed if I screwed up. When you're younger, it's always somebody else's fault. If you crash, it's somebody's fault. Something broke. I'll say it. I screwed up. I tipped over. I spun out. Whatever. So yeah, I get a lot of people kind of credit me for my honesty on those videos, and I don't have any pride. I don't care. I'll admit the truth. I screwed up last night, right? So that's how it is. But yeah, so if you want to check it out after every race, I'll update my Facebook and get an honest opinion what happened at the racetrack that night.
There you go. And then as far as sponsors, people that you want to thank, family members, I give you the platform because I know it takes a lot to make everything happen.
Well, I've definitely got, I call them my crew, but they're really just my friends. But for the most part, my dad and his crew guy he's been crewing for my dad since like 1978. They're retired now. So they're basically my full-time pit crew. They do all the work during the day. They cruise in and out of the shop. They'll roll in here at 10. They leave at 2. Where back in the day, we were all doing this after work, and it begrudgingly came a job. You got done at work at 5 or 5:30, and then you begrudgingly had to go work on the race car and put your 4 hours in and, not get in till 11 or 12 at night. And now that I have that with those two guys, I don't really work on the car that much. So, I mean, that's really kind of let me continue to race a lot longer because if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't, I don't have the desire to work on a car after work every night of the week to go racing. So my dad and Mike Proschold, they're just two old guys that just kind of kick ass, and they're good at building stuff and fixing stuff. And they just, they make that shop go around next door. So the race shop's next door to my stain shop where I work. But so I kind of keep an eye on them, but, got great sponsors. Pacific Hire Rentals. He's a longtime fan. His dad actually sponsored my dad back in the '80s. So it's funny how that kind of came full circle, and just a whole bunch of good people that want to help out. Maybe not doing it for practical business purposes, but they're doing it for the love of the sport and to go have fun. So I got a pretty good core group around me.
Awesome. Well, we really greatly appreciate you taking the time. I know that you're a busy guy and stuff, and, it's looking like it's going to be a fun 2023 schedule, and maybe we'll be linking up with you at some point, getting you back on and talking about some wins that you're accumulating for this upcoming season.
That'd be nice. Wins are always good.
Yeah.
Before you let me off, how's our buddy, the well-mannered Fred Rander, doing? You talked to him lately?
Yeah, he's doing good. I talked to him, let's see, just around Christmas holiday time, maybe New Year's, somewhere around there. He's doing well. So, in fact, I'm going to try and get him here on this deal. It's going to be a multiple parter, I think, if we do. But yeah, hockey, lacrosse, that, and, Agassiz Speedway and BC is pretty much what he's been doing lately. So, yeah.
All right. We definitely miss coming up. We used to run when Brownfield had the NST and coming up there, we'd run those speed weeks, and it was always good to see Fred. So
sure.
Miss seeing him.
Yeah, no doubt. Yep. Yeah. So, well, again, thank you, Andy, and we'll definitely stay in touch.
All right, Ben. Appreciate it. Thank you.